Very good. Well, a very warm welcome, everybody. We're delighted to have you here with us for our official opening of the new Cornhill facility here. We have been in use since March, but we felt that this evening was sufficiently far on now for us to iron out most of the snagging issues that we're able to have an official opening. We're delighted that you're here to share with us and to give thanks to God for His provision of these excellent facilities which are now being used day in, day out for the service of Christ. You've seen around the Cornhill part of the premises, but you'll obviously realise that we're cheek by jowl with the Tron Church. One of the beauties of the facility here is that all through the week, Monday to Friday, we operate quite separately. Cornhill has its own entrance, its own areas, and can operate unhindered, as can everything that's going on next door in the church. But each floor there is a connecting door, and we're able to, when we want to, put the two buildings together. So this evening we've been able to use part of the church facility, and on a Sunday morning, for example, our kids come through this door here, and a Bible class is in here, another one through there. In the Cornhill common room, it's taken over by crying babies and screaming kids, so there's not much difference to the rest of the week. It's very convenient to have all of our young ones penned in down on the basement floor. So we're side by side, doing the same thing, working in the same way, but able to have our own particular facilities, which is wonderful. I'm going to say just a couple more things, then I'm going to hand over to my mother, who is sitting here at the front and is going to unveil a little plaque here, which at some stage we'll have put on our wall, just to mark the opening. Let me explain why. You'll have seen as you came in that three names have been prominent in the building here. We're sitting here in the William Still lecture room, and there's a picture of Mr. Still just outside there. Many of us in this room owe an enormous amount to that man, either directly first hand or second hand, or perhaps third, fourth, or even fifth hand, because in 1945 it was his ministry beginning in Gilcom's and South Church in Aberdeen, just at the end of the Second World War, that was so transformational to gospel ministry here in Scotland. As with others south of the border, like John Stott, Martin Lloyd-Jones and Dick here, who were discoverers, really, or rediscoverers of expository biblical preaching. So it was quite independently with William Still. And this room is a commemoration of that heritage and a continuation, day after day, of what many of us learned firsthand from him. And I rejoice that we're able to commemorate that and continue that work in this way. Next door, as you saw, is the James Phillip Library, named after my father, because it was his books from his study when he retired and before he died that gave us the beginnings of our Cornhill Library. We've been able to add to it since then. But again, it's fitting because he, together with William Still, were able to be such pioneers of biblical, faithful, evangelical expository ministry here in Scotland. And I mean, I can certainly say I would not be here were it not for him. Some of you here tonight can say that in a very genuine way, if a little differently. The ministries certainly would not have been where they were, and perhaps not have been anywhere at all, were it not for the legacy of these men. So we rejoice that what they loved to do, what they taught, what they trained, those of us who were listening to Peter Adam earlier this afternoon were hearing that you learn preaching, you learn ministry from seeing people and hearing people do it. And some of us in this room learned at their feet, and we're simply seeking to teach others the same principles, the same things that they so faithfully taught us. And upstairs you will have seen the Dick Lucas suite. We were going to name the table tennis room after Dick. We thought he would have liked that, but we couldn't fit the table tennis table into the new common room. So the Dick Lucas suite is a place of hard study, intellectual rigour, and cups of tea in the middle in between all those things. but you've seen what a lovely provision we have for our staff, who for many years now have languished in the old basement, which Bob File always used to call Sheol. There were certain reasons for that. It wasn't the most salubrious of accommodation. So, from beginning in a pretty tatty basement in rooms with no windows and really not a lot going for it, the Cornhill training course in Scotland began here back in 2006. And today, in marking the official opening of this new building, we have so much to thank God for. We thank God for this facility, but we thank Him more for all the faces on the pictures that you'll have seen going up the stairs. I can't remember what the number is now, but well over 100, 120, 130 students have trained with us here. Some of you are here tonight. Many are now in senior ministry positions in Scotland, in England, indeed all over the world, as far afield as Nigeria and India and other places. It's been a wonderful thing for us to be involved in that. Bob File, who's been with us from the very beginning, is marking his retirement at the end of this term. We had a little party for him on Tuesday evening. It was lovely to have students from every single one of the years back and celebrated with Bob and rejoicing. And it was a great encouragement for all of us to see all that they are doing, all that they have done under God. When we began, it was nothing. It looked like nothing. We had nothing. And we just thought, well, it's worth giving it a try. I had come to Glasgow hoping that perhaps in about 10 years or so we might get something like the Cornhill training course started. I had, almost by chance, except that there's no chance in God's economy, had penned a letter to Edward Lobb, whom I'd met during my years down south. Edward, I knew, had been ill and was much better, was looking perhaps for a new ministry. And I quit. Well, why don't you come and help me start a Cornhill training course in Scotland? I never expected even to have a reply. Never mind the reply I got, which was, we'll be thinking about this, and how about we come next summer? Well, when the Lord does things like that, you then have to get up and start doing and make it happen. And that's how it happened. That's why it happened 9 years ago and not next year. But at every step of the way, God has been wonderfully good to us. And we want to give Him the thanks and the praise. And many in this room, perhaps all of you in this room, in one way or another, have been wonderful partners and supporters with us in this work of gospel ministry. We hope that having this new facility, the new scope that it gives us, all the possibilities, we hope that it will be just a marker post of the real beginning, and that from now on we will not diminish but rather increase, that the work will go on from strength to strength, and that God will continue to train workers for His harvest field here. That's our prayer. We hope you'll join us in continuing to pray for that. And this classroom certainly is a lovely place to do it. You'll see around the walls that there are these silhouettes. Some of you will recognize them. They're famous silhouettes of the great preacher Charles Simeon. There's no accident to that. They are nice pictures and they go well in this room. But there's much more to it than that, because Charles Simeon was a great example. He was a man who said, doctrine is important, our theology is absolutely vital, but nevertheless we are to give ourselves to preaching the Bible, be Bible Christians and Bible teachers. That was his great motto. That's what he did for 50 years in his ministry in Cambridge, even when the congregation tried to lock him out of the church. He shouted and bawled and threw things at him and wouldn't listen. He didn't stop, he carried on, and great was the fruitfulness. So in a very real way, he also is a reminder to us. So everywhere we look in this room, there are the saints who have gone before us. There are those who surround us. There's a great cloud of witnesses. And we hope that they will keep us to the task, and that what we have begun, we will continue and go on and keep going on, and we'll show the same fortitude and commitment as they have. Thank you for sharing with us this evening, and I'm going to hand over to my mother, Mary Phillip, just to say a word or two and then to unveil this plaque for us. Mum.